When my husband told me I wasn't pretty enough for him anymore while packing his designer suitcases, I didn't cry. I didn't beg. I just stood there in our bedroom doorway watching him fold his custom-tailored shirts, and I thought about the envelope hidden in my car. The one I'd picked up from the private investigator 3 days earlier. The one he had no idea existed. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start from the beginning. My name is Sarah Mitchell, and 6 months ago, I thought I had everything figured out. I was 38 years old, married for 12 years to my college sweetheart, living in a beautiful 4-bedroom house in the suburbs of Atlanta worth about $650,000. I worked as a senior marketing coordinator at a mid-sized healthcare company, making $72,000 a year. Not millionaire money, but comfortable. We had 2 kids, Emma, 10, and Luke, 7, both in good schools, doing well. My husband, David, was the golden boy, 41 years old, senior vice president at Preston and Associates, a prestigious investment firm downtown. He pulled in $340,000 a year plus bonuses. He was tall, still had most of his hair, worked out 4 times a week with a personal trainer. Everyone said we were the perfect couple. I'll admit, I put on some weight after Luke was born. Maybe 30 pounds that I never quite lost. Between working full-time, managing the kids' schedules, doing most of the housework because David was always too busy with work, and dealing with my mother's declining health, self-care had fallen to the bottom of my priority list. I was tired. I wore yoga pants more than I'd like to admit. My highlights had grown out. I couldn't remember the last time I'd bought new clothes that weren't from Target. But I thought we were happy. I really did. David would kiss me goodbye every morning before his 6 a.m. gym session. We had date night once a month. His idea, actually. He seemed attentive to the kids, even if he missed most of their school events because of crucial meetings. When I looked at him, I still saw the 21-year-old boy who'd stayed up all night with me studying for finals, who'd proposed on the beach at sunset, who'd cried when Emma was born. I should have noticed the signs earlier. I really should have. It started small. 3 months before everything fell apart, David became obsessed with his appearance. He upgraded his wardrobe, spending $3,000 at Nordstrom in one weekend. He started using expensive cologne, not the one I'd bought him for Christmas, but something new. He got a trendy haircut at a salon that charged $150. He was on his phone constantly, always angled away from me. New clients, he'd explain when I asked about the late nights. Big accounts. This could mean partner tracks, Sarah. I believed him. Why wouldn't I? We'd built a life together. We had children together. I trusted him completely. Then came the business trip to New York. 5 days in March. He'd been excited about it, talking about the conference, the networking opportunities, the potential deals. He'd kissed me goodbye at the airport, told me he loved me, promised to bring the kids something from FAO Schwartz. He posted photos on Instagram, conference rooms, his hotel lobby, a Broadway show. All normal. But one photo caught my attention. It was taken at a restaurant, just a quick shot of his dinner plate. Fancy food, dim lighting, nice ambience. But reflected in the wine glass in the corner of the photo was something that made my stomach drop, the blurry outline of someone sitting across from him. Someone with long blonde hair. I told myself I was being paranoid. It was probably a colleague, probably innocent, but I couldn't shake the feeling. When he came home, something was different. He was distant, distracted. He started working later, sometimes not coming home until 10 or 11 at night. When he was home, he was on his phone. Always on his phone. David, I said one night in April, about a month after the New York trip. We were in bed, and he was texting someone, the screen casting a blue glow on his face. Is everything okay? You seem so far away lately. He didn't even look up. Just work stress, Sarah. You wouldn't understand. That stung. Try me. I might understand more than you think. He finally looked at me then, and something in his eyes made my blood run cold. It wasn't anger. It was something worse, indifference. It's complicated, he said, turning away. I need to sleep. I lay awake for hours that night, staring at the ceiling, trying to figure out what was happening to my marriage. 2 weeks later, everything changed. It was a Tuesday morning. David had already left for his gym session, and I was making breakfast for the kids. Emma was complaining about a math test, Luke was looking for his soccer cleats, and I was operating on autopilot, pouring cereal, signing permission slips, checking homework. David's iPad was on the kitchen counter. He usually took it to work, but he must have forgotten it in his rush. As I reached around it to grab my coffee, the screen lit up with a notification. I wasn't snooping. I swear I wasn't. But the message preview was right there on the lock screen. Vanessa, last night was incredible. Can't wait until you leave her. My hand froze on my coffee mug. The words seemed to blur and sharpen at the same time. Leave her. Leave her. Leave her. Mom. Emma's voice seemed to come from very far away. Mom, are you okay? I realized I'd been standing completely still, staring at the iPad screen for who knows how long. I'm fine, sweetie, I managed to say, my voice sounding strange to my own ears. Just remembered something I forgot to do for work. I got the kids out the door for school in a daze. The second their bus pulled away, I grabbed David's iPad. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold it. I knew his passcode. It was our anniversary, August 15th, 12. He'd never changed it, as far as I knew. I held my breath and typed it in. Invalid passcode. I tried again, thinking maybe I'd mistyped. Invalid. He'd changed it. When had he changed it? Why had he changed it? I sat down at the kitchen table, the iPad in front of me, and tried to think. What would he change it to? I tried his birthday, his mother's birthday, the kids' birthdays. Nothing worked. Then, on impulse, I tried March 15th, 24, the date of his New York trip. The iPad unlocked. I should have felt triumphant, but I just felt sick. I opened his messages, and there it was. A thread with Vanessa Redhart that went back months. Dozens of messages. Hundreds. My hands were shaking as I scrolled through them, each message like a knife to my chest. Vanessa, I miss your hands on me. David, soon, baby. I'm working on the exit strategy. Vanessa, I'm tired of being your secret. When are you going to tell her? David, I will. I just need to time it right. You know how she is. How she is. How I am. I kept reading, my heart pounding so hard I thought I might pass out. David, she's let herself go completely. I can barely stand to look at her anymore. Vanessa, poor baby. You deserve so much better. You deserve someone who takes care of themselves. Someone young and exciting. David, you're everything she's not. Beautiful, ambitious, fun. I can't wait until we can be together, publicly. I ran to the bathroom and threw up. Actually threw up. Then I sat on the cold tile floor, hugging my knees, trying to process what I just read. My husband was having an affair. My husband, who I'd loved for 17 years, who I'd built a life with, who I'd sacrificed for, who I'd trusted completely, was in love with someone named Vanessa. After I don't know how long, I pulled myself together enough to go back to the iPad. I needed to know everything. I needed to see exactly what I was dealing with. I scrolled further back in the messages, looking for when it started. February. It had started in February. That was before the New York trip, which meant the New York trip had been a lie from the start. Had there even been a conference? And then I found the photos. She was young, maybe 26, 27. Blonde hair, perfect skin, model thin. In the photos David had sent her, she was wearing lingerie. In the photos she'd sent him, I closed those immediately. I couldn't look at them without feeling like my chest was caving in. I went through his email next. Found reservations for hotels. Receipts from jewelry stores, $2, $400 for a necklace I'd never seen. Receipts from restaurants I'd never been to. All of it, paid for with our joint credit card. I'd been so busy with work and the kids that I hadn't been checking our statements carefully. He'd been using our money I'd helped earn, to wine and dine his mistress. I spent that entire day going through everything. By the time the kids came home from school, I compiled a mental list of every betrayal, every lie, every cruel word he'd written about me. But I didn't cry. Not yet. I was too numb. I fed the kids dinner, helped with homework, put them to bed, all on autopilot. When David came home at 9:30 p.m., claiming he'd been at the office, of course, I was sitting in the living room with a glass of wine, my face carefully neutral. Hey, he said, loosening his tie. Kids asleep. Yeah, I replied, my voice steady. How was work? Long, he said, not meeting my eyes. I'm exhausted. I'm going to shower and head to bed. Okay, I said. Good night. He paused, seeming almost surprised that I wasn't asking more questions or complaining about his late night. Then he shrugged and headed upstairs. I sat there in the dark living room, sipping my wine, and made a decision. I wasn't going to confront him. Not yet. I needed to be smart about this. I needed evidence. I needed to protect myself and my kids. And most importantly, I needed to understand exactly what I was dealing with. The next morning, I called in sick to work. As soon as David left for the gym and the kids were at school, I started making calls. First, I called a divorce attorney. Her name was Patricia Hernandez, and she came highly recommended by a friend who'd gone through a messy divorce 2 years earlier. I need to know my options, I told her when we met that afternoon in her downtown office. But I'm not ready to file yet. I need to gather information first. Patricia, a sharp-eyed woman in her 50s, nodded approvingly. Smart. Tell me everything. I did. Every detail. The messages, the photos, the receipts. She took notes, asked pointed questions about our finances, our assets, David's income. Here's what you need to do, she said when I was finished. Document everything. Get copies of all financial records, bank statements, retirement accounts, investment portfolios, credit card statements. Find out exactly what assets you have, and if possible, get proof of the affair that can be used in court. How do I do that? I asked. She slid a business card across her desk. Private investigator. He's good, discreet, and he's worked with me on dozens of cases. Call him. His name was Robertson, and when I called him that evening from my car parked in a Target parking lot, he listened to my story without interruption. I can help you, he said, but it's going to cost about $2,500 for a comprehensive investigation. Can you manage that without your husband knowing? I thought about the small savings account my grandmother had left me when she died. Money David didn't know about because it was from before we were married. $8,000 that I'd never touched, that I'd always thought of as my emergency fund. Yes, I said. I can manage that. Good. I'll start tomorrow. In the meantime, don't change your behavior at all. Act completely normal. Don't let him know you suspect anything. That was the hardest part. Pretending everything was fine. Kissing him goodbye in the morning. Making his coffee the way he liked it. Asking about his day when he came home late, knowing he was lying to my face. But I did it. I played the role of the oblivious, frumpy wife he clearly thought I was. Robert worked fast. Within 3 days, he called me. I've got everything you need, he said. When can we meet? We met at a coffee shop 30 minutes from my house. Robert handed me a manila envelope. Her name is Vanessa Preston, he said. 28 years old. She's an associate at your husband's firm. Started there 8 months ago. My stomach dropped. His firm. They work together every single day. There's more, Robert continued. They've been to the Ritz-Carlton downtown at least 6 times in the past 2 months. Always during work hours. 2-hour lunch breaks. I've got photos, timestamps, everything. And Sarah. He paused. She's pregnant. The coffee shop seemed to spin around me. What? She's pregnant. About 3 months along. I followed her to an OB/GYN appointment yesterday. She was glowing, talking on the phone about baby names. I couldn't breathe. Pregnant. She was pregnant with my husband's child. Does he know? I managed to ask. Based on text messages I was able to recover from his phone records, yes. He knows. And he's thrilled about it. I opened the envelope with shaking hands. Inside were surveillance photos, phone records, financial statements showing he'd opened a secret bank account 3 months ago and had been funneling money into it. $45,000 so far. Money he'd clearly been hiding from me, preparing for his exit. There's one more thing, Robert said gently. They're planning to move in together. He's been looking at condos in Buckhead, places that run $4,000 to $5,000 a month. He's planning to leave you within the next few weeks. I went home and put the envelope in my car, hidden under the spare tire. Then I went inside, helped Emma with her science project, watched Luke's soccer practice, and made dinner. That night, David came home at a reasonable hour for once, 7 p.m. He was in a good mood, whistling as he came through the door. "Something smells good," he said, kissing my cheek perfunctorily. "Chicken parmesan," I said. "Your favorite." We had dinner together as a family. David talked about his day, lying, I now knew, about where he'd been and what he'd done. The kids chattered about school. I smiled and nodded and asked appropriate questions, all while feeling like I was watching the scene from outside my body. After the kids went to bed, David poured himself a scotch and settled onto the couch to watch the game. I could have confronted him then. Part of me wanted to throw the evidence in his face, to scream at him, to demand answers. But I thought about Patricia's advice. Don't let emotion drive your decisions. Be strategic. The wife who keeps her cool always comes out ahead in divorce proceedings. So instead, I sat down next to him and said, "David, we need to talk about our finances. I was looking at our credit card statements, and I think we need to make a budget. We've been spending a lot lately." He barely glanced away from the TV. "Yeah, sure, whatever. We're fine. I'd like to go over everything together," I pressed. "Our retirement accounts, savings, investments. I want to make sure we're on track for the kids' college funds." Now I had his attention. He looked at me with narrowed eyes. "Why are you suddenly so interested in our finances?" "I'm not suddenly interested," I said calmly. "I've always been interested. We're partners, aren't we? I should know where we stand." He studied me for a long moment, and I could see him calculating, wondering if I knew something. Then he relaxed. "Fine," he said. "I'll pull everything together this weekend. We can go over it then." But that weekend never came. Because 2 days later, on a Thursday evening in early May, David came home with the suitcases. I was in the kitchen loading the dishwasher when I heard him moving around upstairs. Heavy footsteps, drawers opening and closing. I went upstairs and found him in our bedroom, packing. "David," I said, "what's going on?" He didn't stop packing. He didn't even look at me. "I'm leaving, Sarah," he said matter-of-factly, like he was telling me he was going to the store. My heart was pounding, but I kept my voice steady. "Leaving? What do you mean?" "I mean I'm leaving. This marriage. This life. I'm not happy. I haven't been happy for a long time. Can we talk about this?" I asked, even though I knew what was coming. "Can we try counseling?" Now he did look at me, and the expression on his face was pure contempt. "Counseling?" He laughed bitterly. "Sarah, look at yourself. Really look at yourself. You're not the woman I married. You've let yourself go completely. You're frumpy. You're boring. You have no ambition. You're not enough anymore." Each word was like a physical blow. But I'd read those words before in his messages. I'd had time to prepare for them. "I'm not enough," I repeated quietly. "No," he said, zipping his suitcase. "You're not pretty enough for me anymore. You're not exciting enough. You're not anything enough. I've met someone who is all the things you're not. Someone who takes care of herself. Someone who's young and beautiful and exciting. Someone who makes me feel alive." "Vanessa," I said. He froze. "How do you?" "I know everything, David," I said, my voice still eerily calm. "I've known for 3 weeks. I know about the affair. I know about her pregnancy. I know about the secret bank account. I know about the condo in Buckhead. I know it all." His face went white, then red. "You've been spying on me?" "No," I said. "I've been protecting myself. And our children." He recovered quickly, his expression hardening. "Fine. Then you know this marriage is over. You can have the house. I'll pay child support, of course. But I want a quick, clean divorce. No drama. No drama," I repeated. "You destroy our family, abandon your children for your pregnant mistress, and you want no drama." "Don't make this harder than it needs to be, Sarah," he said, grabbing his suitcases. "You'll be fine. You're always fine. That's your problem. You're too fine with everything. Too comfortable with mediocrity." He walked toward the door, and I said, "I met with a lawyer." He paused. "And a private investigator," I continued. "I have documentation of every hotel visit, every dinner, every piece of jewelry you bought her with our money. I have copies of all our financial records, including the accounts you tried to hide. And I have evidence that you've been committing fraud." "Fraud?" He spun around. "What are you talking about?" "The money you've been funneling into your secret account," I said. It's not all from your salary, is it? My lawyer found some interesting discrepancies. Money that should have gone into our joint accounts but somehow ended up in yours. Money from bonuses you told me were smaller than they actually were. That's financial fraud in a divorce proceeding, David. It's also theft from the marital estate. This was partially a bluff. Patricia had only just started digging into the financial records, but I could see it landed. You can't prove that, he said. Try me, I replied. Go ahead and leave. Move in with Vanessa. But know that I'm not giving you a quick, clean divorce. I'm going to fight for every penny I'm entitled to. Every single penny. And given that you committed adultery, which Georgia absolutely allows as grounds for divorce, and that you've been defrauding the marital estate, I'm going to take you for everything you're worth. We stood there facing each other, and I watched him recalculate his entire strategy. Don't do this, Sarah, he said, his voice low and threatening. You don't want to make an enemy of me. You already made an enemy of me, I said. The day you betrayed me. The day you betrayed our children. The day you told someone else that you couldn't wait to leave the woman who'd stood by you for 12 years, who'd supported your career, who'd given up her own ambitions to raise your children. What ambitions? He sneered. You work in marketing at a healthcare company. You make $72,000 a year. You were never going to be anything special, Sarah. At least be honest about that. And there it was. What he really thought of me. What he'd probably always thought of me. Get out, I said quietly. He grabbed his suitcases and left. I stood in our bedroom, my bedroom now, and listened to his car pull out of the driveway. Then I walked to the window and watched his taillights disappear down the street. Only then did I let myself cry. The next morning, I called in sick to work again. I dropped the kids off at school without telling them anything. I needed to figure out how to explain this before I shattered their world. Then I drove straight to Patricia's office. He's gone, I told her. He left last night. Good, she said. That makes things easier. Did he say anything incriminating? I told her about the conversation, about his admission that he wanted a quick divorce, about my bluff regarding the financial fraud. Patricia smiled, actually smiled. It wasn't entirely a bluff. I finished going through the records you gave me. Your husband has been hiding income. Significant income. Bonuses from work that he claimed were smaller than they were. Stock options he never told you about. And this is the big one. He's been siphoning money from your joint accounts for the past 6 months. Small amounts, $500 here, $800 there, but it adds up to about $23,000. Can we use that? I asked. Absolutely. In Georgia, that's dissipation of marital assets. The judge won't look kindly on it. Combined with the adultery, the secret bank account, and the fact that he's having a child with another woman while still married to you. She paused. Sarah, we can destroy him in court. What do I need to do? First, file for divorce immediately. Tomorrow if possible. We want to be the ones who file first. It looks better to the judge. Second, freeze the joint accounts. I'll file an emergency motion. Third, document everything about his relationship with Vanessa. We need to prove that the affair is ongoing, that he's planning to live with her, that he's supporting her with marital funds. What about the kids? I asked. Does he have a relationship with them? I thought about all the missed soccer games, the forgotten parent-teacher conferences, the times he'd been too busy for family dinner. Not really. He works late most nights. He's never been very hands-on. Good. We'll ask for primary custody. He'll get visitation, of course, but given his behavior and his new living situation with a pregnant girlfriend, the judge will likely grant you primary physical custody, which means more child support. What about the house? The house is marital property, but given that he's the one who left, who committed adultery, who's starting a new family with someone else, we have a strong argument that you should keep it. He'll have to buy out your half of his equity, or we'll force a sale and split the proceeds. Either way, you'll be fine. And spousal support, alimony, Patricia corrected. And yes, you've been married 12 years. You sacrificed career opportunities to raise children and support his career. In Georgia, we have a good shot at getting you rehabilitative alimony for several years, possibly longer. For the first time since I'd found those messages, I felt a spark of something other than pain. I felt powerful. Let's do it, I said. Let's take him for everything. We filed for divorce the next day. Patricia's paralegal hand-delivered the papers to David's office. A nice little power move that would ensure all his colleagues knew what was happening. He called me within an hour, furious. "You filed for divorce," he shouted. "We agreed to handle this amicably." "No," I said calmly. "You demanded a quick, clean divorce that benefited you. I never agreed to anything. And David, my lawyer tells me your firm has a morality clause in their employment contracts. Something about how senior executives represent the firm's values, and any behavior that damages the firm's reputation is grounds for termination. I wonder what the partners will think about you having an affair with a junior associate and getting her pregnant while you're still married." He was quiet for a long moment. "You wouldn't." "Try me," I said. "You wanted to see who I really am. You're about to find out." I hung up on him. It felt amazing. But here's the thing about rock bottom. It's a solid foundation to build on. The day after I filed for divorce, after I'd cried until I had no tears left, after I'd explained to my confused and heartbroken children that Daddy was going to be living somewhere else for a while, I looked at myself in the mirror. Really looked. David was wrong about a lot of things. But he was right about one thing. I had let myself go. Not because I was lazy or didn't care, but because I'd spent 12 years putting everyone else first. David's career, the kids' needs, my mother's health, the house, everything and everyone except me. Well, that was going to change. I called my sister, Jennifer, who lived 2 hours away in Savannah. She'd never liked David, said he was too self-absorbed, too concerned with appearances. She'd been right. "Jen," I said when she answered, "I need help." "Anything," she said immediately. "What's wrong?" I told her everything. When I was finished, she was quiet for a moment. "I'm coming to stay with you for a few weeks," she finally said. "I'm going to help with the kids while you do what you need to do." "What do I need to do?" "You need to remember who the hell you are," she said fiercely. "You need to remember that you're smart and strong and beautiful. You need to stop seeing yourself through his eyes and start seeing yourself through your own." She arrived the next day with her suitcases and a plan. "Okay," she said, settling in at my kitchen table with a notepad. "Here's what we're going to do. We're going to treat the next 6 months like a project. A transformation project. Not for him, fuck him. For you." The plan was simple but comprehensive. Phase 1, physical health. Join a gym. Start with a trainer 3 times a week. Fix my diet. Not a crash diet, but actually learning to eat well. Sleep schedule. No more staying up until midnight doing housework. Therapy. Process the trauma properly instead of just pushing through. Phase 2, appearance. New haircut and color from an actual salon update wardrobe with clothes that fit and flatter. Learn makeup again. I'd forgotten how somewhere along the way. Take care of my skin. Phase 3, career. Start looking for new opportunities. Update my resume network. Remember that I'm actually good at my job. Phase 4, life. Make time for friends I'd been neglecting. Pick up hobbies I'd abandoned. Do things that made me happy. Build a life that was mine, not ours. It sounds superficial when I list it out like that. Like I was just trying to make David jealous or prove him wrong. But it wasn't about him. It was about reclaiming myself. I started going to the gym at 5 a.m. before the kids woke up. At first, it was torture. I was out of shape, embarrassed by how much I struggled with exercises that used to be easy. But my trainer, Marcus, was patient and encouraging. "You're not competing with anyone but yourself," he told me. "Just be better than you were yesterday." I started therapy with Dr. Angela Morrison, a divorce specialist. She helped me process the grief, because that's what it was, grief. The death of the marriage I thought I had, the future I thought we'd have. "You're allowed to be angry," she told me in our 3rd session when I broke down crying about how much I missed him, despite everything. "You're allowed to miss him. You're allowed to grieve. But don't let that stop you from moving forward." I got my hair done at a real salon for the first time in years. Cut off 6 inches of dead ends, added highlights, got a style that was modern and flattering. The stylist, a young woman named Ashley, looked at me appraisingly. "You have amazing bone structure," she said. "Why have you been hiding it under all this weight?" Not weight on my body, weight in my hair, she meant. The heavy, shapeless style I defaulted to because it was easy. When she was done, I stared at myself in the mirror. I looked like me again, like the me I'd been before marriage and kids, and life had made me forget who I was. I went shopping with Jennifer. Not at Target, but at real stores. Nordstrom, Anthropologie, places I'd convinced myself were too expensive or not for me anymore. This is an investment, Jennifer said, holding up a gorgeous navy dress that cost $180. You're investing in yourself. I bought the dress, and several others, and jeans that actually fit, and blazers that made me look professional and polished, and shoes that weren't sneakers or flip-flops. The weight started coming off. Not quickly. I wasn't crash dieting or doing anything unhealthy. But between the gym, the better eating, the lower stress, surprisingly, divorcing David was less stressful than being married to him had been. The pounds melted away. 10 pounds in the first month. 15 by month 2. 20 by month 3. But more than the physical changes, I felt different. Stronger. Clearer. More myself than I'd been in years. I started networking for new job opportunities. Updated my LinkedIn profile. Reached out to old colleagues. And when a recruiter called about a senior marketing director position at a tech startup in Atlanta, making $110,000 a year, I interviewed. And I got the job. Meanwhile, the divorce proceedings were not going well for David. Patricia had filed an emergency motion to freeze the joint accounts, which the judge granted. David suddenly couldn't access the $78,000 in our joint savings or any of the joint credit cards. He'd have to live on just a salary, which, to be fair, was still substantial, but he couldn't make any large purchases or transfers without court approval. He'd also had to disclose all his assets, including the secret bank account. The judge was not pleased about that. In our first hearing in June, Judge Martha Reynolds, a no-nonsense woman in her 60s, looked at David over her reading glasses and said, "Mr. Mitchell, can you explain to me why you opened a bank account in your name only and transferred $45,000 of marital funds into it without your wife's knowledge?" David's lawyer, a slick corporate attorney named Brian Walsh, started to answer, but the judge cut him off. "I asked Mr. Mitchell, not you, counselor." David shifted uncomfortably. "Your Honor, I was planning for the future. For after the divorce." "I see," Judge Reynolds said dryly. "And did it occur to you that those funds belonged to both you and your wife, and that removing them without her knowledge or consent constitutes dissipation of marital assets?" I didn't think of it that way." "Clearly." She made a note on her papers. "The $45,000 will be returned to the joint account immediately. And Mr. Mitchell, I'm awarding Mrs. Mitchell attorney's fees for having to deal with this nonsense. You'll pay her lawyer directly." That was $7,500 that David had to pay to Patricia out of his pocket. But it got better. In July, we had the deposition. David had to sit across from Patricia and answer questions under oath, while a court reporter recorded every word. Patricia was merciless. "Mr. Mitchell, how long have you been having an affair with Miss Preston?" "I object to the characterization." "It's not a characterization, it's a fact," Patricia interrupted. "You've been having a sexual relationship with Ms. Vanessa Preston while married to my client, correct?" "Yes," David admitted, his jaw tight. "And Miss Preston is pregnant with your child?" "Yes." "And you used marital funds to support this relationship? Hotels, dinners, jewelry?" Some of my own money." "Mr. Mitchell, you don't have your own money. You've been married for 12 years. All money earned during the marriage is marital property. So let me rephrase. Did you use marital funds to purchase gifts for your mistress?" He was trapped. "Yes." "How much would you estimate you spent?" "I don't know exactly." Patricia slid a document across the table. "I have receipts here totaling $18,400 over the past 4 months. Does that sound accurate?" David's lawyer objected, but the damage was done. It was all on the record. "And Mr. Mitchell," Patricia continued, "you told my client that she wasn't pretty enough for you anymore, is that correct?" I was angry. "Yes or no, please?" "I said something like that, yes." "And you told her she'd let herself go?" "Yes." "Despite the fact that she was working full-time, raising your 2 children largely on her own because you were too busy with work, and by work, we now know you mean having an affair, and caring for her sick mother?" "Objection," David's lawyer said. Argumentative. Withdrawn, Patricia said smoothly. "Let's talk about your children. How many of your son Luke's soccer games did you attend this year?" David hesitated. "I'm not sure." Would you believe me if I told you it was 0? I've been busy. Busy with Miss Preston. Yes, we've established that. How about your daughter Emma's school events? Parent-teacher conferences? School plays? Not many. In fact, according to the school records I've subpoenaed, you're not listed as an emergency contact for either child. Only your wife is. Why is that? Sarah handles that stuff. Because you couldn't be bothered? Objection. Withdrawn. No further questions. David left that deposition, looking like he'd been put through a meat grinder. I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. But the real satisfaction came from an unexpected source. In August, 4 months after David had left, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. Mrs. Mitchell, a woman's voice said. This is Carol Henderson. I'm the HR director at Preston and Associates. My heart started pounding. Yes. I'm calling to inform you that we've completed an internal investigation into the relationship between your husband and Miss Vanessa Preston. I wanted you to know that we take workplace affairs very seriously, especially when they involve a senior executive and a junior employee. There are significant concerns about power dynamics and abuse of authority. I see, I said carefully. Mr. Mitchell has been terminated, effective immediately. Miss Preston has been offered a transfer to our Chicago office, which she has accepted. I wanted to reach out to you personally to apologize for any harm this situation has caused you and your family. After I hung up, I just sat there in shock. David had been fired. His $340,000 a year job, the job he'd sacrificed our marriage for, the job that was more important than his children gone. I found out later, through mutual friends, that one of the senior partners at Preston and Associates had a daughter who'd gone through a similar situation, husband leaving her for a younger coworker. When word got around about David and Vanessa, and in the legal community in Atlanta, word always gets around. This partner had pushed for a full investigation. The investigation revealed that David had been using company resources for personal matters, booking hotels for his affair on the company credit card and claiming they were client meetings. He'd been padding his expense reports. And worst of all, there were concerns that he'd shown favoritism to Vanessa in client assignments and compensation decisions. It was a termination for cause, which meant no severance package, no continuation of benefits, no golden parachute, just a box of personal items and an escort out of the building. David called me that night, for the first time since I'd filed for divorce. "This is your fault," he said, his voice shaking with rage. "You did this. You got me fired." "I didn't do anything," I said honestly. "Your choices did this, David. Your decisions. Your actions. This is called consequences." "I have a baby on the way," he shouted. "How am I supposed to support a baby without a job?" "Probably the same way millions of people do," I replied. "You'll figure it out. Or maybe Vanessa can support you for a while. I hear Chicago has a great job market." "She's not going to Chicago," he said. "She's staying here. With me." "Really?" "She's giving up a job opportunity to stay with an unemployed man who's about to pay massive child support and alimony to his ex-wife. That's true love." He hung up on me. I poured myself a glass of wine and smiled. For the first time in months, I genuinely smiled. In September, 5 months after David had left, my life had transformed in ways I couldn't have imagined. I'd lost 35 pounds and gained muscle definition I hadn't had since college. My new job was challenging and exciting. I was leading a team of 5, working on campaigns for innovative healthcare technology. I was making more money than I ever had. The kids were adjusting well, thriving even, with the stability of a structured custody schedule and a mother who was present and happy. I started dating. Nothing serious, just coffee dates and dinners, remembering what it felt like to be appreciated and desired. Men noticed me now. Actually noticed me. It was intoxicating. And then came the invitation. My new company was a sponsor for the Atlanta Healthcare Innovation Gala, a major annual event that drew executives from across the healthcare and technology sectors. As the senior marketing director, I was expected to attend. "It's black tie," my boss, Richard, told me. "Bring a date if you want. It's a great networking opportunity." I almost didn't go. Galas weren't really my thing. But Jennifer convinced me. "You're going," she said firmly. "You're going to wear something stunning. You're going to walk in there like you own the place, and you're going to show everyone the new Sarah Mitchell. She took me shopping at Saks Fifth Avenue. We found a dress that was perfect, a deep emerald green that made my eyes pop, fitted in all the right places, elegant and sophisticated and sexy without being inappropriate. It cost $800, which 6 months ago would have seemed insane. But now it felt like exactly what I deserved. The night of the gala, I spent 2 hours getting ready. Hair up in an elegant twist. Makeup that was dramatic but polished. The dress. Heels that made my legs look a mile long. Diamond earrings that had been my grandmother's. When I looked in the mirror, I barely recognized myself. I looked like someone important. Someone confident. Someone who knew her worth. Jennifer, who was staying with the kids for the evening, whistled when she saw me. "Holy shit, Sarah," she said. "You look incredible." "Thanks to you," I said. "No," she corrected. "This is all you. I just reminded you that she was in there all along." The gala was at the Four Seasons in downtown Atlanta. The ballroom was gorgeous. Crystal chandeliers, white tablecloths, flower arrangements that probably cost more than my monthly grocery budget. I checked my coat and walked in, feeling the eyes on me. I networked, made small talk, discussed marketing strategies with other executives, had my business card ready. I was in my element. And then I saw him. David. He was across the room, talking to a group of men I didn't recognize. He gained weight. Stress weight, probably. His suit, which used to fit him perfectly, was a bit tight. He looked tired. Older. He was alone. No Vanessa. Before I could decide whether to leave, he turned and saw me. The look on his face was worth everything. Everything. His eyes went wide. His mouth literally dropped open. He stared at me like he was seeing a ghost, like he couldn't process what he was seeing. I gave him a small, cool smile and turned back to the conversation I'd been having with a venture capitalist. But David was walking toward me. I could see him out of the corner of my eye, pushing through the crowd, looking almost frantic. "Sarah," he said, interrupting my conversation. "Sarah, is that you?" I turned slowly, my expression neutral. "Hello, David. You look—" He seemed unable to complete the sentence. "What are you doing here?" "I work for Tech Health Solutions," I said. "We're one of the sponsors. I'm the senior marketing director." "And you?" I'm here with—" He trailed off, looking around like he was trying to remember who he was there with. "Well, it was nice to see you," I said, turning back to my conversation. "Wait," he said, touching my arm. I looked down at his hand, and he immediately removed it. "Can we talk? Please." "I don't think we have anything to talk about," I said. "Please," he repeated, and there was something desperate in his voice. "Just 5 minutes." Against my better judgment, I excused myself and followed him to a quieter corner of the ballroom. "You look amazing," he said, staring at me like he was memorizing every detail. "I mean, you look— Sarah, what happened to you?" "What happened to me?" I repeated. "You left. That's what happened. I got my life back." "I made a mistake," he said, and my heart actually skipped a beat. Not because I wanted him back. I didn't. But because I'd waited so long to hear those words. I made a terrible mistake. I was an idiot. I was going through something, a midlife crisis or whatever, and I threw away the best thing in my life. "The best thing in your life," I echoed flatly. "You," he said. "And the kids. Our family. I want to fix this, Sarah. I want to come home." I stared at him, and I felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, no longing. Just nothing. "How's Vanessa?" I asked. He flinched. "We're not together anymore. She went to Chicago. She wanted me to come with her, but my life is here. My kids are here. Your kids that you barely see. The ones you couldn't be bothered with when we were married. I know I was a bad father," he said. "I know I was a bad husband. But I want to change. I want to be better. I'm in therapy now. I'm working on myself." "That's good," I said. "I hope it works out for you." "Sarah, please," he said, and he was actually tearing up. "I love you. I never stopped loving you. I was stupid and selfish, and I didn't appreciate what I had until it was gone." "You're right," I agreed. "You didn't appreciate it, and now it is gone." "But it doesn't have to be," he pressed. "We can start over." I'll do whatever it takes. Counseling, anything. I'll be the husband you deserve. I'll be present. I'll prioritize our family. David, I said gently but firmly, I don't want you anymore. He looked like I'd slapped him. What? I don't want you, I repeated. Not because I'm angry, not to punish you, but because I genuinely don't want to be married to you. I've spent the last 5 months rebuilding my life, and it's a better life than the one I had with you. I'm happier. The kids are happier. I'm not going backward. But we're still married, he said desperately. We could stop the divorce. We could. The divorce will be final in 3 weeks, I interrupted. And I'm counting down the days. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have networking to do. I walked away, leaving him standing there looking lost and confused. The final divorce hearing was in October, 6 months after David had left. I walked into the courthouse feeling powerful. I was wearing a charcoal gray suit that fit perfectly, my hair was professionally styled, and I radiated confidence. David was there with his lawyer, looking defeated. He'd gotten a new job, still in finance, but at a much smaller firm making $180,000 a year. About half what he used to make. He'd had to move out of the expensive condo in Buckhead and into a modest 2-bedroom apartment in a less trendy area. Patricia was ready for battle, but it turned out we didn't need to fight. My client is prepared to accept the following settlement, David's lawyer announced. Mrs. Mitchell keeps the house, valued at $650,000, with no buyout required. Mr. Mitchell will pay child support in the amount of $2,800 per month for both children. He will maintain health insurance for the children. He will pay alimony of $3,500 per month for the next 8 years. He will pay Mrs. Mitchell's attorney's fees. He will relinquish any claim to her pension or retirement accounts. He will take full responsibility for the secret bank account incident and acknowledges dissipation of marital assets in the amount of $45,000, which will be compensated through his retirement accounts. Patricia looked at me, eyebrows raised. It was more than we'd hoped for. My client accepts, she said. Judge Reynolds reviewed the settlement agreement, asked if we both understood and agreed to the terms, and signed the divorce decree. Your marriage is hereby dissolved, she said. Good luck to both of you. Just like that, it was over. 12 years of marriage ended with a signature. As we left the courtroom, David tried one more time. Sarah, he said, can we get coffee? Just to talk. No, David, I said. We're done talking. We're done with everything. The only relationship we have now is co-parenting our children. That's it. I still love you, he said quietly. I know, I said, but I don't love you anymore. I don't even think I like you very much. What you did, the things you said, the way you treated me and our children, I don't respect people who behave that way. So that's it, he asked. You're just done? After everything we built together. You destroyed what we built together, I corrected. The day you told Vanessa you couldn't wait to leave me. The day you spent our money on her. The day you called me frumpy and boring and not enough. You destroyed it, David. Not me. I walked away, got in my car, and drove to my sister's house, where the kids were waiting. How'd it go? Jennifer asked when I arrived. It's over, I said. It's really over. She hugged me tight. How do you feel? I thought about it. Free, I finally said. I feel free. Now, 6 months after the divorce was finalized, a full year after David walked out with the suitcases, I can honestly say my life has never been better. I'm 40 years old now, and I feel younger and more vibrant than I did at 38. I maintain the weight loss, not through obsessive dieting but through sustainable habits. I still go to the gym 4 times a week, not because I'm trying to prove anything to David, but because it makes me feel strong and powerful and alive. My career is thriving. I was promoted to VP of Marketing at Tech Health Solutions, with a salary of $135,000 and stock options that could be worth significant money when the company goes public next year. I lead a team of 12 now, and I love the work. I'm doing meaningful campaigns that actually help people access better health care. I feel valued and respected and appreciated. The kids are doing great. Emma made honor roll and joined the debate team. Luke is captain of his soccer team. They see David every other weekend, which honestly seems to be enough for everyone involved. He tries harder now. He actually shows up to their events. He helps with homework when they're with him. He seems to be making an effort. But the damage is done. They're polite with him, but the warmth isn't there anymore. You can't abandon your kids for months and expect them to just welcome you back with open arms. I've been seeing someone for the past 3 months. His name is James. He's a doctor at Emory, and he's kind and funny and thinks I'm amazing. It's nothing serious yet, but it's nice. He treats me like I'm precious, like spending time with me is a privilege, not an obligation. He notices when I get my hair done. He compliments me. He asks about my day and actually listens to the answer. Last I heard about David, through mutual friends, because I don't keep tabs on him, his life hasn't recovered the way mine has. The job he found pays less than half what he used to make. He's still alone. Vanessa is in Chicago with their baby, a girl, and by all accounts she has no interest in reconciling with him. He tried to fight for reduced child support when his income dropped, but the judge denied it because he'd been fired for cause from his previous job. He's tried to reach out a few times. Text messages asking how I am, saying he misses our conversations, suggesting we try to be friends for the kids' sake. I keep it polite but distant. We're not friends. We'll never be friends. We're co-parents, nothing more. I ran into him again 2 weeks ago at Emma's school play. She was the lead, playing Maria in The Sound of Music, and she was incredible. I was sitting in the 3rd row with James, who'd come to support her. David was alone in the back. After the show, David came up to congratulate Emma. She hugged him, but it was quick and perfunctory. "You were wonderful, sweetie," he told her. "I'm so proud of you." "Thanks, Dad," she said, then immediately turned to me and James. "Did you see when I forgot the words in the 3rd song? I was so scared." "You recovered beautifully," James told her. "We couldn't even tell you forgot anything." Emma beamed at him. David watched this exchange with an expression I recognized: regret, longing, loss. He caught my eye, and I could see the question there. Could we ever? I gave him a small, kind smile and shook my head slightly. No. He nodded, understanding, and left. Later that night, after Emma and Luke were asleep, I sat in my living room, in MY House, in MY Life, and reflected on the past year. A year ago, I thought my life was over. I thought David leaving was the worst thing that could ever happen to me. I thought I'd never recover from the betrayal, the rejection, the humiliation of being left for someone younger and prettier. But he was wrong about me. I wasn't too plain or too boring or not enough. I'd just forgotten who I was. I'd buried myself under years of putting everyone else first, of making myself smaller to make room for his ego, of accepting scraps of attention and affection and telling myself it was enough. His leaving didn't break me. It freed me. It freed me to remember that I'm smart and capable and strong. That I'm beautiful, not in spite of my age or my body, but because of the life I've lived, the challenges I've overcome, the person I've become. That I deserve to be with someone who sees my value, who appreciates me, who wants to be with me, not someone who's just settling for me until something better comes along. Sometimes I think about that moment in our bedroom when David told me I wasn't pretty enough for him anymore. I think about how much those words hurt, how they confirmed every insecurity I'd ever had about myself. But now I realize he was right about one thing. I'm not the same woman I was when he married me. I'm better. I'm stronger, wiser, more resilient, more confident. I've been through hell and come out the other side not just surviving, but thriving. I've learned that I don't need someone else to complete me or validate me or give my life meaning. I can do that myself. It's been 18 months now since David left. The kids are settled and happy. Emma is 13 now and talking about applying to the Magnet High School for Arts. Luke is 9 and still playing soccer, but he's also discovered he loves to cook, and we spend Sunday mornings together trying new recipes. I'm still with James. We're talking about moving in together next year after I've been divorced for 2 full years. The kids adore him. He's patient and kind and present in a way David never was. He coaches Luke's soccer team on weekends. He helps Emma practice her audition monologues. He treats me like I'm the most fascinating woman in the world. Last month, David got engaged. To someone new, not Vanessa. Her name is Michelle. She's 35, works in HR. She seems nice enough from the brief interaction I had with her when she dropped the kids off one weekend. I genuinely hope it works out for them. I genuinely hope he's learned something from losing his family. But mostly, I don't think about David anymore. He's become what he always should have been, just my ex-husband, the father of my children, someone who's part of my past but not my present or my future. My company went public last month, and my stock options are now worth $280,000. I'm looking at investment properties. I'm planning a trip to Italy with Jennifer this summer, something we've talked about doing since college but never made happen. I'm living a life that's mine, built on my terms, focused on what makes me happy. Sometimes people ask me if I regret the years I spent with David, if I wish I'd left sooner, if I'm angry about the time I wasted. And the truth is, I'm not. Those years gave me my children, who are the best part of my life. Those years taught me lessons I needed to learn about boundaries and self-respect and knowing my worth. Those years made me who I am today. I don't regret those years, but I don't miss them either. Last week, I had lunch with Patricia, my divorce lawyer, who's become a friend. We were celebrating the fact that David had made his final alimony payment. He'd asked the judge if he could pay a lump sum to end the obligation early, and I'd agreed because I didn't need it anymore and I wanted to be completely done with any financial ties to him. "You know," Patricia said, sipping her wine, "you're one of my favorite success stories. Most of my clients just want to survive their divorces. You turned yours into a launching pad." "I had a lot of help," I said. "You, Jennifer, my therapist, my trainer. Everyone who reminded me I was worth fighting for." "We gave you tools," Patricia corrected. "You did the work." She was right. I did do the work. The hard, painful, exhausting work of rebuilding myself from the ground up, of facing my insecurities and fears, of learning to love myself again, of becoming the woman I was always meant to be. Yesterday, I was cleaning out my home office and found a photo from 12 years ago from our wedding. David and I, young and in love, smiling at the camera like we had all the answers. I looked at that young woman in the wedding dress, so hopeful and naive, and I wanted to tell her so many things. I wanted to warn her about what was coming. I wanted to tell her to demand more, to expect better, to never make herself smaller for someone else's comfort. But I also wanted to tell her that it would all be okay, that she was stronger than she knew, that the worst thing that would ever happen to her would turn out to be the best thing, that she would survive, and more than survive, she would flourish. I put the photo back in the box and closed it. I don't need to look at the past anymore. I'm too busy building my future. They say the best revenge is living well, and they're absolutely right. David didn't take anything from me when he left. He revealed something to me, that I'd been living a half-life, accepting less than I deserved, dimming my own light to make his shine brighter. He thought he was trading up when he left me for Vanessa. He thought he was getting something better, someone younger, prettier, more exciting. But what he actually did was set me free. Free to become the woman I always had the potential to be. Free to build a life that's authentic and fulfilling and entirely mine. Free to find someone who sees my worth and celebrates it instead of diminishing it. Sometimes I still see him at kid events, soccer games, school plays, parent-teacher conferences. He's always polite, always respectful. Sometimes he looks at me with regret, and I recognize the expression. It's the look of someone who threw away something valuable and only realized what he had when it was gone. But I don't feel sorry for him. We all make choices, and we all live with the consequences of those choices. He chose to betray me, to discard me, to tell me I wasn't enough, and I chose to prove him wrong. Not for him, for me. Last month, I was interviewed for a business magazine article about women in tech leadership. The journalist asked me what advice I'd give to women who are going through difficult transitions. I thought about it for a long moment before answering. "Don't let anyone else define your worth," I finally said. "Not your partner, not your boss, not your family, not society. Only you get to decide who you are and what you're capable of. And if someone in your life is making you feel small or unworthy or not enough, that's not a reflection of you, it's a reflection of them." The article ran last week, with a photo of me at my desk, looking confident and professional and happy. Jennifer sent it to our whole family group chat with about 50 fire emojis. My mother, who's doing better now and living in an assisted living facility near me, called to tell me how proud she was. "You know," she said, "when David left, I was so worried about you. But you've become stronger than I ever could have imagined. You've become the woman I always knew you could be. Thanks, Mom, I said, and I meant it. That's where I am now. Strong, happy, confident, free. Living a life that's entirely my own, surrounded by people who value me, doing work that matters, raising kids who are thriving, open to a future full of possibilities. David told me I wasn't pretty enough for him anymore, and he was right. I'm not pretty enough for someone who would say something like that. But I'm more than pretty enough, more than everything enough, for someone who actually deserves me. And that makes all the difference.